Very quickly before I start this video, I'm doing a Q&A next Friday, so ask all and any questions you have for me down in the comment section. I'll be responding to all of them. For goodness sake, reviewing a single song, never thought I'd sink to this level. In keeping with my reviews so far of the cinematic release from Owl City, I thought might as well make a video with my thoughts on the latest single, Lucid Dream, which is the lead single from Reel 2. The artwork is not hugely aesthetically pleasing, but at least he's being consistent with it, you know, at least the level of strange is the same across all of the releases so far. But the song itself, well, I think it's pretty good. Kind of wonderful. It's dreamy and ethereal and bright and energetic. It's one of those tracks that as soon as I heard the first vocal line in it, I knew that there would be a lot of positives. He's gone for a sort of trance vibe on this. There are some big influences there from people like Armin van Buuren, Chicane, Dash Berlin. The ascending pre-chorus passage in it that starts on the lines "and when" I think is absolutely brilliant. Such a great build and such a fantastic transition from the verse into that section. It builds and builds, and then there's this great big section of chorus, and then it kind of goes back down again, and then it builds, and I think the whole song is just, it's put together very well, and it just sounds really, really nice. And it's very refreshing because this feels like something that, instead of with something like Fiji Water, which I really enjoyed, it's very clearly like him sort of harking back to the previous music that he's made. You know, he's trying to make something that sounds like the stuff he's done before. This is more of an actual sort of progression. That's the sort of music I always hoped Adam Young would go into when he announced his kind of entry into a more mainstream pop area. You know, in the run up to the Midsummer Station being released, when he kind of announced that he was doing a lot more sort of standard pop music instead of the kind of slightly quirky stuff that he'd done prior to that. This is the direction that I really hoped he'd take it in, and not in the direction of songs like Shooting Star. So yeah, in general, I really love the song. I've had it on repeat today several times. There are a couple of issues that I have with it, which I'm going to address now. Bear in mind that these criticisms are mostly production based, and I'm very aware that Adam Young is an absolutely fantastic producer. His songs are always so polished and so well made. These criticisms aren't from a perspective of me thinking that he kind of made a mistake when he was producing it or anything like that. I know that all of these things will be choices that he specifically made, and there'll probably be a very good reason for that, but personally, there are a couple of things that I wasn't hugely keen on. The first of which being the strings that start the track off in the intro. They're way too synthetic. I think it would have been great to start the track off with some realistic sounding strings. The second thing was I felt that the kick was nowhere near strong enough in the track. Maybe this is something that commonly happens in trance music, but it just sounded too quiet and really, really thin. It was as if he'd had a kind of a layered kick drum. So he's got one for the high end and one for the low end with the kind of the thump. And he kind of just muted that channel the whole way through. The kick just, it doesn't, I was going to say it doesn't cut through, but it cuts through, but because there's a lot of high end, there's a lot of click to it, but there's not enough actual like power in the kick. When it first came in, I thought it would do that for, you know, 8 bars, and then at the sort of next sort of drop, it would become way more powerful, and it never did. I just felt like it would have been a bit more sonically satisfying to have a more powerful kick drum coming in at moments in that track. But I don't know, maybe that's just me being really, really picky. The third thing, which wasn't like a massive issue, is that there wasn't any sort of substantial development to it. Again, this is probably just due to the style that it's been produced in, but it kind of just goes intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and then it's done. There's no bridge or breaking up of the different sections of the track. You know, the second half is basically just a carbon copy of the first half with different lyrics and more synth embellishments and, you know, opening the filter on the pads and the pluck sounds that he used. But again, these are just my personal issues with things, and I think the thing that's really important to remember is that while it may sound like I've just said a whole load of things that I dislike about it, I still really, really like it. I think it's a really, really good song, and I think it's important to remember that enjoyment of a song is more important than, you know, technical and structural analysis of that piece of music. Yeah, I would have liked it to be broken up a little bit more, but was that the first thing that I thought when I was listening to it? No, the first thing that I thought was, wow, this is really cool. So yeah, don't take my word for these things. You know, if you enjoy the piece of music, then that's great, and I'm glad that you do. And with this track in particular, I think it's probably the best track so far that's been released from all of his cinematic work. Definitely better than All My Friends. I do kind of wish that he wasn't releasing it in such a staggered way, and I get the concept and the principles behind it and everything, but I just wish he'd just, you know, even if he made us wait another couple of months, release the whole album after a couple of singles have been released. Because the problem I'm finding, I don't know if any of you are having this issue, is that I'm listening to, you know, each reel or each track as it comes out, and then after a while with music in general, you know, that kind of immediate bit of, you know, magic and excitement of hearing something new and appreciating the newness of that thing, it fades a little bit, and you start being able to remember what the lyrics do and remember what all the melodies do, and you can kind of sing it in your head faultlessly. And it's no longer this super new exciting thing, and that's what's going to happen with each of these releases. Is there's going to be a kind of peak of, oh, okay, new music, this is great, and then you're going to get used to that music, and then you're going to go back down to waiting for more, and then there's going to be some more that comes out, go down again, like that, instead of when just a full album comes out and you've got like this huge spike of, there's so much new music you can't even necessarily sort of get your head around it properly. You've just got to sit down and listen to it all, and then over the next few months you start to learn the music more and appreciate it for different things and as a body of work. And I know that he's going to be releasing, like, the final half of the album is 9 tracks, which is basically an album anyway, but I still kind of feel like I would have loved to just have this whole thing just delivered in one package instead of being so staggered. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Lucid Dream. Best track from Cinematic so far, followed closely by Fiji Water, but I would love to know what you think, so let me know all of your opinions and thoughts down in the comment section, as well as remember any questions that you have for me for my Q&A, which will be up on Friday of next week at 9 AM. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you've enjoyed this. Have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you very soon.